This is possibly the cheapest ever 1x4 scale anime figure I've ever seen. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven from X Kurogane Studio, today with my first anime figure review of 2026. This is something you've seen a million times over, right? Freeing makes a lot of 1x4 scale Bunny Girl figures, but what makes this one special is the pricing. This is possibly the cheapest ever 1x4 scale anime figure I've ever seen that is genuine and licensed. 8,000 yen, according to myfigurecollection.net. Yes, that is insane, man. But if you were to get it from China, it is even cheaper. I got it for 279 Chinese yuan. The official MSRP in China is 299 Chinese yuan, where if you do the conversion currently, that is equal to 6,700 Japanese yen. That is Mieto's gift plus or pop-up rate price, man. For a 1x4 scale. Yes. So you heard that right, I bought it from China, Taobao to be exact, and that is China's largest shopping website for finding pretty much anything including anime figures. The problem is that, yes, there is the inevitable language barrier. The whole website is in Chinese and some sellers also do not ship to overseas customers, so you need a proxy service to help you purchase the figure and forward it to you. And this is where Superbuy is this channel's preferred proxy service for buying anime figures from Taobao. Copy and paste literally any Taobao link directly into Superbuy's search engine and you will be able to purchase that anime figure easily. Buy from multiple different sellers. They will be shipped to Superbuy's warehouse and then you can combine them into one single shipment to save on shipping cost. But what about the status of my anime figure? I want them to arrive in perfect condition. I do not want any damaged boxes. So there are value-added services you can go for over there. You can request for detailed inspection and additional photographs to check out whether the figure is in good condition or not. You can purchase additional EPE foam protection for anime figures. You can go for corner protectors or even plastic wrapping that is waterproof in case it arrives and it is raining. Yeah, there are so many additional options for you to protect your anime figure over at Superbuy so that you get them in perfect condition. Currently, Superbuy is running a promotion in their website. If you do not have an account yet, please do make use of my link down in the description below to sign up for a free account and you will receive 560 Chinese yuan of credit to be used for your first shipping. Yes, so that is a big discount over there for your first anime figure purchase from China. Why not just sign up for the account? It is completely free after all. And if you want some additional reassurances on Superbuy, can I trust them? No problem, you don't have to take my word for it. You can just head over to their subreddit r/Superbuy. They have tens of thousands of members over there, tens of thousands of users, and you can check out their reviews, their feedback over there, and see for yourself whether they can be trusted or not. There are a lot of people who use Superbuy. So thanks a lot to Superbuy for sponsoring to this video. And let's get back to this figure right here. This is the weirdest part, her name. Her name is apparently Feina. But if you search for this figure in myfigurecollection.net, you won't be able to find a Kawa Design Feina figure because over in MFC, her name is Bunny Girl Hina. I mean, I'm quite confused. This is literally the first time I'm seeing something like this happen, right? The same figure, the same character having two different names depending on the region. What was her actual name? I don't know. This is not coming from some famous artist, I think. It is like an original character by Kawa Design. So this is weird, but there is one thing to know. Her name may be different depending on where you buy her from. As for the release date of this figure, I believe that she came out in China last August, but internationally around late October 2025. So this is still a fairly new figure, not too difficult to find if you want to find her on Taobao. And the dimensions of this figure, the height, including the bunny ear, is 30.5 centimeters, a little bit more than 12 inches, which is very tall for a 1x4 scale in kneeling position. And then the head height, not including the bunny ears, is around 24 centimeters, which is still big for a 1x4 scale. This figure may be 1x4 scale on paper, but based on the comparisons I have made with my other 1x4 scale figures I have currently, she is slightly bigger than that, closer to 1x3.5 like what Alice Glint has been doing to their huge figures. This is slightly bigger, right? The size of her head, the size of her body and everything else, if she was standing upright, I think this is more than 40 centimeters, even closer to 45 maybe. Yeah, so this is a tad bit bigger than 1x4 scale, making the value proposition even better. Speaking of the box over here, yeah, this is what the box looks like. I'm not sure if the international version has the same box design as this one, since I got this from Taobao. So this is the China version box with the name Feina printed on it. And this may be a low budget figure, but the quality of the box is excellent. This is tough. This is quite solid. And even fat companies, 30,000 yen figures, their box are not as tough as this one. So this is a big plus over there. I would rate the box a 9 out of 10. Yeah. It would be a full 10 out of 10 if the design was nicer, but I'm just nitpicking over here. So we move on to the sculpt of this figure. At this price point, I don't exactly have a high expectation. I was imagining stuff like more obvious mold lines visible on the side of the figure, stuff like that. Stuff you see in price figures, but to my surprise, that is not the case because despite the low price of 8,000 yen or less, the quality is closer to premium scale figures. Of course, if you compare her to Freeing's 1x4 scale Bunny figures, and I mean the cheaper ones at around 33,000 yen, the Freeing figures are still slightly better, but the question is it 3 to 4 times better? 8,000 yen versus over 30,000 yen. The answer is no. The Freeing is maybe 50% better, right? Slightly more polished paintwork and stuff like that. So it feels like as long Kawa Design did not mess up her face, I can easily justify buying one of these simply because of the value proposition being so insane over here. And speaking of the face, it is actually identical to the official products showed to us during the pre-order period. So all is good over here, I suppose. Yeah. The only problem is that the face expression, not very expressive. She looks bored. Not a very exciting or pretty face in general. It feels generic, right? So that is the only negative thing I can think about her face, and that has to do with the character design rather than the quality of the figure. As for the rest of the body, the sculpting, it is your average big oppai anime girl. Textbook anime character design with fan service. Nothing too special. It is not a very curvy character, but at the same time, this figure reminds me of that Haruhi figure so much because I wanted that figure badly back then. When I just started this hobby of collecting anime figures. You know, the black bunny outfit, the stockings color, and even the pose are very similar. Unfortunately, no fabric stocking over here. Her legs are entirely painted, but the good news is that the painting and the shading is pretty good, in fact. So before I move on to painting, the sculpting I will give to this figure, the score is around 6 out of 10, not any higher. And that is despite factoring in the low price point simply because this is a very plain bunny girl with a big scale and not much else. Though the good news is that there are no ugly gaps or seam lines, no mold lines, no quality control issues related to sculpting. All of the parts seem to be fitting nicely. As for the paint work, the shading is there, very obvious on the stockings, but that is the only place where I can see some obvious shading outside of the skin. The skin is a typical skin color with a lot of pink color accent, something Chinese brands love to do a lot, right? Any joints, including the knees, or in this case the elbows and the fingers, they normally do a pink color tint on top of the skin color to make the figure look more detailed. Every Chinese brand does this regardless of the price point, but it is nicely done over here. I don't have any complaints, and the black bunny suit is just gloss black. Meanwhile, the hair over here is like a smooth finish but not exactly glossy, but at the same time not matte either. It is somewhere in between, and I like this finish. But the problem with the paintwork over here, at least on my copy, there is a big quality control related issue on the back of her head over here. This is not good at all. So what you're looking at, yep, a giant scratch on the back of her head or her hair. The paint has been rubbed off. If I have to make an educated guess based on how the scratch looks like over here, this is human error. Maybe they accidentally touched the figure before the paint has dried. or they were transporting multiple copies of this figure in a box from one corner of the factory to another for the packaging process, and during the transportation, two figures were bumping against each other, knocking against each other, and that is enough to knock off some paint from the figure, right? So this is something you guys need to remember. If you are moving houses, you are moving from one address to another, and you want to transport the anime figures, do not put multiple anime figures in close proximity to each other in one carton box and carry them like that. This is something a lot of people do when they have thrown out their anime figure boxes. They don't have the boxes anymore, so they put multiple figures in one box and carry them like that. When two figures knock against each other because of movements, vibrations, that will create paint scratches, or paint will come off just like this one over here. Yes, so this is definitely human error, and that means not every copy of this figure will have this kind of scratch on the back of her head. Maybe a select few units are affected. And I am the unlucky one to end up with one of those copies with a scratched paintwork. Yeah. I suppose that I sound quite forgiving over here with this figure's paintwork, the scratch on her head, because of the price, obviously. If this was a premium scale figure and I see a big scratch like that, I would be very pissed. Yeah. So the score I would give for this figure when it comes to paintwork is 5 out of 10 maximum. And if this scratch was not present on the back of her head, a solid 7 out of 10. Yes, this one single scratch took 2 points away from her because it is a big scratch, not a small one. It is very obvious, and the only saving grace is that it is at the back of the figure, not in front, so you are not exactly looking at it most of the time. So outside of this scratch, there are no other flaws to be found on this figure, no other paint scratches or paint transfer or paint bleeding, but I do not expect to see any because this is not a high detail figure to begin with. And our last part for today's review is the base. So you're getting this fluffy base over here, but it is made of very thin material. And for figures like this, I mentioned it in my figure unboxing video a month ago. You should always put a figure like this on a base, be it this one or your own custom made base. Never put a figure like this without any base on a table surface, because you could induce paint transfer once again, right? Or scratches. Yeah, in case your table surface or the surface of a shelf is not glass, it is painted wood, then you may have paint transfer issues over time. So always use a base, and a cloth material like this is ideal. As long the cloth is not painted, of course. Do not use dyed cloth, right? Red color, blue color cloth, that will also create paint transfer. Happened to me in the past. So with my conclusion on today's figure review, can I recommend this figure? As long you are a big fan of huge anime figures, 1x4 scale or bigger, but you do not want to spend a lot of money on one, then this is a no-brainer. It is a must-have, right? I think the price alone is enough of a reason to buy one as long as you collect anime figures, unless for some reason this character does not appeal to you that much. So this figure is easy to recommend despite my copy over here having a big scratch on the back of her head. And until then, I hope that you found this review to be helpful. If it is, please do give this video a like and subscribe to this channel for more anime figure content every week. Another new low budget figure review dropping next week, and until then, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.